Whew, there are SUP deals everywhere at the moment, and good deals too. Now is a great time to buy into a composite hard paddleboard or an inflatable paddleboard, and that's what we're going to speak about in this feature. We'll also be touching on why there are sales at the moment, a bit of insight and background to the industry itself, and a bit of advice on the brands you should be looking at. Also, there's going to be a SUPboarder Pro video that's going to go alongside this video where I'm going to be drilling into our top brands at the moment. The brands that we recommend in order for various different reasons: price points, board constructions, range, their brand ethos, their environmental credibilities. We're going to be driving into our top list of inflatable and composite brands on SUPboarder Pro. Before we jump into this feature, guys, remember we do not do affiliate ads. We don't sell paddleboards. We have nothing to do with the retail of these paddleboards. We are just an independent SUP magazine that brings you content to buy the best gear for you or learn the best technique you need to get yourself improving on the water. I do not mind if you buy a full-on top-of-the-range board or a really cheap price point board that we have not heard of, as long as it's the right board for you and it's a board that's going to last as well. Now, whether you're a first-time buyer that has a very small budget or you're a serial repeat buyer that has got lots of boards and an infinite budget, there are things that you do need to consider and think about before buying a paddleboard. But before I jump into those things, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the market at the moment and why we have so many cheaper paddleboards on the market right now. So you guys might have remembered that thing we had a few years ago called COVID. Well, that was obviously a pretty full-on experience for everybody. And when we got the hang of how the COVID thing was going to work with the 2 meters apart and shaking hands with your elbows and your butt and whatever you're meant to do then, we've all forgotten about it now. We've soon got into going outside, getting out in the outdoors, and SUP really was at the perfect time of its growth. Boards were getting sold like crazy, but at the same time where most of the boards were being made back over in China, they were still in pretty severe lockdowns. So there was a very low supply of boards coming out of China. There was also shipping issues with containers, not enough containers or containers stuck at the other side of the world. There was lots of other things that were going on behind the scenes at the factory manufacturing level that really made us not have that amount of boards to come in to fill the people that were buying all of that stock. Then when the factories finally got up and running and the shops were still selling out or sold out of all of their paddleboards, they were pre-ordering more boards. And then when the boards did arrive to the shops in Northern Hemisphere, winter started to hit, we started to slow down the SUP market in general because less people getting on the water, and the shops were having to take hold of that large amount of stock that they pre-ordered, and then the factories carried on making more production to try and catch up with the sales that they had lost earlier that year. And the situation we're at right now is we still have a huge amount of you getting into paddleboarding. We know this because, just for example, on our SUPboarder Pro membership is still very strong, and we're still getting a huge amount of questions and comments about what gear to buy. But there is no doubt we are hitting a bit of a recession where some people have definitely got not as much time as they had in the COVID times, and they haven't got as much money either. So the shops are filling up with stock. The factories have now started to slow down production, but there is still a lot of paddleboards sat in docks, in factories and in shops that need to be sold right now. So there are a lot of very good deals out there. There are a lot of very good deals from very good brands as well. Usually in the past, you will always see deals for mid-price point boards or cheaper price point boards. Now you're seeing the deals for the better top end quality boards. £800, £900 retail price point board at sitting around £550, £600. And it's not always the case, but generally the more money you pay for something, the better quality that product is going to be. Yes, a cheaper price point paddleboard is a great option to get you on the water if you haven't got very much money, but you've got to think about a few things and be aware of a few things before you put your hand in your pocket and buy those cheaper price point boards. How robust are those boards? How long will those boards last? How long will the glues on those boards last? Is it likely to break and end up in the bin in the first few goes? Are you going to be able to get any customer service from that brand? Do they have a contact number? Do they have a physical address where you can physically visit them? Remember, all inflatable paddleboards and composite paddleboards cannot be recycled at the moment. They are a composite material. They're made out of lots of different materials: plastics, foams, PVCs, glues, EVAs. They're all from the same oil-based product in the first place, but they are made in very different ways, and as soon as they're stuck together, you cannot recycle a composite product. It needs to be stripped down and then recycled in that way, and nobody can do that at the moment. So it's very important the board you buy and the boards that are made also from the factory will last the longest, and that is the best thing for our environment right now. Now, generally, when you pay for a more expensive board, you are going to be paying for more than just the board. You're going to be paying for the brand's credibility, the environmental message and ethos for that brand, the quality of the materials, of course, and the glues put into those boards, the process of how that brand is watching the factory make each one of those boards is vitally important to making sure you have a good quality board. How much wastage is there from that one board that has been made? That's a really big point you do not see when you buy any paddleboard, really. A higher quality control, a higher quality in the factory is going to result in less warranties, and it's going to result in you having more water time. Also, a more higher price point brand and board is generally going to be more invested in SUP. They generally put more R&D and work into making sure that board is designed and works as well as it can for what design purpose it was made for. So if it's a beginner board, it's super stable. It is the right thickness. It has the right fin setup. If it's a touring board, it is going to offer you as much glide as possible. It has got great storage capabilities. A better brand, or a brand that is, again, more invested in SUP, is going to make sure you have a more enjoyable experience because they want you to buy another paddleboard from them again in the future. Now, to be fair, there is one thing to be aware of that is a bit of a caveat from what I've just said just now, is you can still find cheaper price point boards that are made very well. It's just the chances of you finding as many of them is lower than a higher price point board. Brands that are making sure there is somebody in the factory all of the time watching every single board that comes out of that production line is going to have a higher level of finish of those boards. So you might still have really good workers doing cheaper price point boards, but if they're being rushed, if they've got to get more boards done, if they've got to make them with cheaper quality tools, the chance of having a better board is coming down because of all those reasons. So sometimes you will still see really cheap price point boards that are really old that are still going strong, but the chance of you finding those is going to be a lot lower. So when you're looking for these deals that are going on at the moment, do your bit, buy responsibly. And I will say, if you were originally looking for a £300, $400 board, still look towards that price point or try and get yourself up a little bit more as always. Just because the boards have gone down in price, I would rather you still try to raise your bar or stay at the same price point. I will say that in general, a cheaper price point board that is from a really well-known brand is going to be better quality than the same price point board from a lesser well-known brand, or a brand that makes generally cheaper boards overall. Buying from a brand that you know and you trust, you know, have heard of other people being paddling with them, is better than buying from a one-off board brand. Another thing to think about is second-hand gear. Now, you can get some really good price point second-hand gear from top-end brands that is at the sort of price point of a cheaper brand new board. In general, they will hold their money a bit more from a second-hand market. So if you're going to be selling a second-hand board, if you have a more expensive board in the first place, yes, you will lose money like you do with everything on second-hand stuff. but you're going to be able to hold a bit more money because you've got a better product. So buying into a second-hand board is a really great option. The other great thing with that is you can buy and sell a little bit more. You don't feel like you maybe have to get the best board to start with or the perfect board for you. If you do sell it again, maybe you'll lose $100, £50, but you won't be losing £300 in the first place. And then that way you can chop and change, get on loads of new kit and really find out what boards are best for you. Another one is support your local shop. If you have got a good local shop that has got good information, or the people, if they're actively paddling, get in there, ask them questions, try and support your local shop. They are there to help you. They don't want to sell you something rubbish in general. And if you're unsure of if they're trying to sell you what's on the shelf, and which a lot of you do, get on the Ask the Experts on SUPboarder Pro, ask us any questions about any gear, and we'll happily get back to you with a completely honest and independent answer. Again, it's a great reference or a sounding post. A lot of people get told something from a shop, they ask us a second opinion, and we sort of say, yeah, actually, that's great, or actually, try and look for this board instead. We believe that will be a bit better for you. So that's another independent option there for you with SUPboarder Pro to ask us and ask the experts. So I know you're going, but why should I buy one right now? It's cold in the Northern Hemisphere. It's not summer. It's not really paddleboard conditions. And that is because paddleboarding is just around the corner. Spring has some great opportunities to have some standout paddleboarding, whether it's SUP surfing, SUP touring, race training, just leisure paddling. Spring into summer is such a good time to paddleboard. Another reason is because there is more stock right now. My hunch is what's going to happen is people are going to wake up and start to buy paddleboards, but it will be more summertime. When that happens, the stock in the shops will deplete and go down. The factories of stock will eventually go down, or there'll be a delay on getting them from the factory to the shops, and then the price will go up, or it will stay at a stable level, which is where it should be in the end. So right now there is more gear available. Right now the shops unfortunately are struggling. Right now is when the deals are. So unfortunately, if you have got a bit of money and you know you are going to go and get into paddleboarding this year, or you're going to buy another paddleboard, do it now. Get on it now. Talk to the shops. Find out what deals they can do. I'm not going to say haggle your shop down even more, but now's the time to do that. When the sun is shining and the water's flat and the people are coming in those shop doors, they are a lot less likely to give you those super deals. Also, another one is now the 2025 stuff is all in stock in the shops or warehouses. So there are some really great boards sat that are 2024, maybe they're exactly the same shape as the new boards, and they're there and they're already being slashed and they need to be cleared because the 2025 stuff is there and they've got to get more money for it. And as soon as September comes, the 2025 is going to be slashed. So that 2024 stuff has to go right now. So there's some of my reasons why now is a good time to buy a stand-up paddleboard. There are some great products out there, but definitely do your research, find out about your brands, talk to your friends who've got the certain boards. Make sure you're buying the best board for you, for whatever discipline you want to use it for, and do your research into your brand. And generally, the cheaper brands, they will get you on the water, but if you can, buy into a more credible brand that's going to look after the board they made and you that much more. Of course, remember, if you're unsure and you're a SUPboarder Pro member, get on the Ask the Experts. Ask us any questions about any boards, anything. Just let us know. We're here to help you and make sure you buy the best kit for you. And as I said, learn the best technique as well, whether you're SUP surfing, foiling, winging, whatever you want to know, we're there for you. On SUPboarder Pro as well right now, I'm going to be driving into the top brands, inflatable and composite, that we think are doing well this year, and the brands you should be looking at, and almost the order of the brands as well. It's going to upset a lot of brands. I know we're going to get a load of emails complaining, but that's SUPboarder Pro, unfortunately. You pay for it, you get it. So SUPboarder Pro, check that out if you want to find out a bit more about the brands that we rate the best. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy paddling, and we'll see you on another feature soon.